So you might have noticed yesterday on the channel there was not a video, and why is that? Well, I had a fun day. Yeah, it wasn't a great day here at the RGT compound, but that doesn't mean video game news stops happening, because there's actually 4 stories that have happened very recently that I definitely want to talk about. 2 involving the Nintendo Switch, 1 involving Walmart, because wow, Walmart, and 1 involving the Turbografx 16 Mini getting more games for the system. Yes, even more games for the Turbografx 16 Mini. So why is Nintendo disappointing Switch owners? What's going on with Walmart, and what are these additions to the Turbografx 16 Mini? That's what we're going to talk about in this video. So sit back, relax, make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit that like button, and let's talk about what's been going on in the world of video games.
Hey, RGT85. Hey, Sean.
Oh my God, it's Stevie Richards! So first off, let's get the Walmart topic out of the way, because this is a topic that I was sort of on the fence about talking about, but I feel I just wanted to give my 2 cents on the subject because it's just absolutely bizarre to me. So if you live in the United States or follow world news, you would know that recently there were 2 very tragic mass violent acts that happened in the United States. And of course, whenever something like this happens, instead of actually blaming the individual and the problems within that individual, people like to blame other things, essentially give it a scapegoat. And we have seen this time and time again with things like films, music, and of course video games. I've actually done a video talking about times when the government tried to get involved in video games, and since video games are a much more newer medium than something like movies, music, and television, people are always quick to blame video games when it comes to violent acts. Because yes, there are violent video games, but there's also violent movies and television and music, but you know, it's easier to blame the video games because video games are for the kiddies! They're for the kiddies! So after these disgusting, heinous individuals carried out their act, Walmart is now hopping on the violent video game bandwagon. Are they getting rid of selling violent video games? No, they're not doing that. Are they getting rid of selling weapons like firearms and knives that you can pick up at pretty much any Walmart? No, they're not doing that. They are going where it really matters, evidently. They are getting rid of any sort of advertising that showcases violent video games or games that can be perceived as violent. Yes, they're getting rid of advertising, so they're not wanting to cut into their bottom dollar by not selling perceived violent video games. They're not wanting to cut into their dollar by getting rid of their weapon stuff and their firearms and their knives that you can pick up from a Walmart location. No, no, no! They are fighting the good fight and getting rid of advertising for perceived violent video games. Like, if this is not virtue signaling, if this is not trying to pat yourself on the back, like, this is absolutely ridiculous. There has been no scientific data that correlates violent video games to violent individuals. There are people in the world that just have severe mental issues, that are messed up in the head, and there's no rhyme or reason for why they do that, because scientific data does not really exist for that sort of stuff. You need to study these individuals and why they end up doing the things that they do. I don't think something like a violent video game, a violent movie, a violent television show, or rap music, as everyone likes to blame, is the reason why these events happen. And there's no scientific data that shows that this is the reason why events happen. But of course, people don't understand video games. They don't understand the positive of video games. So good job, Walmart. Way to take down that advertisement, because that's really gonna make things better. Next up, we have an interesting story coming to us from FDG Entertainment. Now, you might know FDG Entertainment because they made Monster Boy and the Cursed Kingdom, which was a fantastic game. It was a great game on the Nintendo Switch. I played it, I talked about it on the channel, and it was an absolutely great 2D action-adventure platformer with RPG elements. Fantastic game. If you haven't played it yet, I highly suggest you do. But yesterday, FDG Entertainment sent out a tweet that has a lot of people very, very confused, and it's actually taunting some Switch Lite specific feature that is going to be included in Monster Boy and the Cursed Kingdom. So this tweet is as follows. We have a fun idea for Monster Boy running on the Nintendo Switch Lite. It's a nifty feature that nobody needs, but it has to be done. Patch 1.0.5 is in the works. So of course, because of this, people started asking, like, what is this patch going to be about? Does it have to do with the D-pad on the system, as it does have a traditional D-pad? And to which FDG Entertainment said no, and this only makes sense on the Nintendo Switch Lite and will somehow change the whole experience of the game. So this is something completely new. We've never seen a company come along and say that there's going to be specific Nintendo Switch Lite features for specific games. So this really is opening up a door that a lot of people didn't really investigate before. And the weird thing is, I have no idea what this could potentially be. Like, what could it potentially be? The Nintendo Switch Lite is essentially the same as the Nintendo Switch, with just non-detachable Joy-Cons, smaller, and a better battery life than the standard Nintendo Switch model. And then I guess another question we have is this going to be something that takes off? Are more developers going to be looking at Nintendo Switch Lite specific features for their games if this does well for Monster Boy and the Cursed Kingdom? It's definitely a very interesting time. Next up, we have to talk about the Turbografx 16 Mini. Now, admittedly, I'm really looking forward to this system. I made a video about why I was hyped for the Turbografx 16 Mini, so if you did not check that out, make sure you check it out. But basically, long story short, you're getting 50 games on this system, a variety of Turbografx 16 and PC Engine games, and it's only going to be a $100 system. Well, now, Konami is actually making the Turbografx 16 Mini even better. They have announced 7 more games coming to the Turbografx 16 Mini. Now, before we get into the 7 different games that have been added, they also announced that M2 is doing the emulation. Now, M2 should sound familiar to you, especially if you own a Nintendo Switch, because M2 is absolutely fantastic when it comes to porting retro games. My Life in Gaming did a full video on M2, the history of M2, the past, present, and the future. Make sure you guys go check that out. I'll have a link to it in the description box down below, a documentary style video, but it's absolutely wonderfully done and definitely very highly recommended. But now the fact that M2 is at the helm of the emulation on this system, I'm definitely very, very excited for it. They've done great things like virtual racing on the Nintendo Switch, and of course Sonic the Hedgehog along with other games. But now we have to talk about the 7 games that have been added to the Turbografx 16 Mini, because one of them is definitely a big fan favorite that a lot of people have been asking for. So the 7 games are as follow: Serini Senshi Sprigani for the PC Engine, I probably said that wrong, Spriggan Mark II for the PC Engine, Dragon Spirit for the PC Engine, Galaga 88 for the PC Engine, which admittedly is actually a very good game, I have played that one before, the Genji and the Heike clans for the PC Engine, The Legend of Valkyrie for the PC Engine, but the final game is the one that everyone wants, and that is Splatterhouse! Yes, Splatterhouse will be on the Turbografx 16 Mini, and that is absolutely fantastic. A lot of people were disappointed that Splatterhouse was not going to be on the Turbografx 16 Mini, because Splatterhouse was definitely an iconic game for the Turbografx 16 Mini, but now it has been confirmed to be coming out for the Turbografx 16 Mini, so this system has gotten even sweeter. Now you're getting 57 games for $100 on this system, all done by M2 doing the emulation on it. So I am super stoked for this system now. This and the Sega Genesis Mini are definitely very high on my radar. There might be a Sega Genesis Mini off camera. Be on the lookout for a video on that in a couple days. But yes, I love mini systems, so to see things like the Turbografx 16 Mini being ported and handled with care, and of course the Sega Genesis Mini being ported and handled with care, both from M2, absolutely fantastic. And finally, yes, Nintendo has disappointed Nintendo Switch owners once again, because what is one of the biggest problems about the Nintendo Switch? It's of course the online service. Now granted, they have somewhat improved it with things like the free game trials where you can play Mario Tennis Aces for a week, the complete game for free, and then pick it up at a discounted price. That is a very good thing. But then of course you have things like their NES Online service, which of course has been very, very disappointing the last couple of months. There's still no Super Nintendo games. There's nothing really unique about the NES Online service. Well, they announced the new NES games for the month of August that will be coming to Nintendo Switch's online service, and well, people are not very happy. You go and look at the YouTube video for it, and the like to dislike ratio is not very good. People are very upset about this. So what are the games being added? Well, once again, they're only adding 2 games. Two games. Now, what are these 2 games? Granted, one of them is actually a good game, and that is Vice Project Doom. Now, this is definitely a under-the-radar NES game, sort of a hidden gem, I guess you would say, but it's actually a very good game. If you've never played this game before, I highly recommend you play it. It's not a game that I've played super in-depth, but I have checked it out before. There's a lot of different gameplay variations in it as well. It's a very good-looking game, so definitely a game worth playing. And the second game for the month of August is Kung Fu Heroes. I know nothing about Kung Fu Heroes. I've actually never heard of Kung Fu Heroes, and that's pretty weird considering I have played just about every NES game via emulation or via other means that has ever existed. So Kung Fu Heroes, I know nothing about this game, and those are your 2 games for the month. Now, I'm sure there will be some special edition. Maybe we'll get another special edition of Mighty Bomb Jack, because that's obviously a very popular game for Nintendo Switch Online NES players. They love Mighty Bomb Jack. We want more Mighty Bomb Jack, but it's just like, Jesus Christ, what are you doing here, Nintendo? Yes, you have so many franchises that were available on the NES, you're not tapping into them. Where's like Ninja Gaiden 2? Where's Castlevania? Where's Mega Man? Where's Tetris? Like, yeah, you could play Castlevania via the Castlevania collection from Konami. You could play, of course, Mega Man games via the Mega Man collection from Capcom, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't include these games as well, because some people just want to actually play like 1 or 2 Mega Man games. They don't want to pick up the whole compilation because they're not diehard Mega Man fans. Same thing with sort of Castlevania. It's just so weird weird how many great games are being overlooked for a variety of reasons. And it's just like every month, it's more and more disappointing with these NES games. Of course, we're going to be looking at them on the channel because I always have fun playing those games and just sort of ridiculing them a little bit if they're not good. But it's like, get your shit together, Nintendo. Like, this is absolutely ridiculous. You need to make this NES online service better. You need to add in Super Nintendo games. Do something. Have some fun with it. Stop just churning out random games for the service every month. Alright, so those are the 4 topics that I wanted to cover today. So let me know in the comments section down below what you think of games potentially getting Switch Lite specific features. What do you think of Walmart and their virtue signaling about how they're gonna save the world? What do you think about the NES games being added to the month of August? And of course, what do you think about the additional Turbografx 16 mini games? Because I'm very excited for that system. And as always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. Check out other videos on the channel. I gotta go try and put a serpentine belt in my car. I ripped my fingers to shreds yesterday. It was just not a good day. It was not a good day. And as always, folks, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.